Hey guys, welcome to another Confusion Quickie. Today I thought I'm gonna show you how to bend stuff. I believe there is no tool in Fusion that allows you to bend things very easily. We have the grid warp, which is a very powerful tool, but I don't think that it allows you to do such bendings here. The grid warp has certainly a different purpose. But you might wondering, how can I bend stuff? I just want to bend something.
Yeah, we want to bend something. Bend everything. Bending is good for you.
Well, don't be desperate. There is a way to do that. So what you see here is an artwork that I did for my new upcoming theme-based tutorial, Le Bug's Ring. So first I resized it because I didn't draw it in the right resolution. And what I did then is I used the paint tool to remove the rope to get basically a clean plate. It's called in the VFX industry. A clean plate. Below that, I have cropped my image because I want to extract the rope. And I used the cropped rectangle here. And what I did then is I removed the sky. And then I put this onto an image plane. And why I used an image plane is because if you put an image, if you hook an image into an image plane, the image plane automatically adjusts to the resolution and the aspect of the image. So no need to adjust anything. Just throw it on and yeah, do whatever you want. So, and then I use the bender. And I hit play, I can see I bended it. The clean plate here, I just hooked into the camera, which then becomes an image plane. And I want to show you now how I actually did that. So let's get rid of all this junk. And let's start with the paint tool. So I add a paint node. And I have 200 frames set here. And now I set my stroke duration to 201. As soon as you select the paint tool, you can see that you get this circle here, this brush radius gizmo thing. And so by clicking Control and left click, you can adjust the radius. And by clicking Alt, you can pick a color. It's pressing, you idiot! You don't click keys! You can see here, I picked the sky color. So now this is very slow. I think it's because I'm recording. So yeah. So I just picked the sky color and start painting this out. Oh, this is so slow. I picked the color up here. Wow, this is like almost impossible to work with. Oh. Yeah. The paint tool is a very sensitive subject. And I believe that it will disappear in the future and will get replaced by a very nice tool. Yeah, but maybe it's just my dream. So we can paint this out. And now, since we have this bright bluish color here, it's very difficult to spot like unclean areas. And what you can use a simple trick. You can just activate the the red channel, and then you can get a much better view of what you have here. You can see how dirty I was painting here. Okay, that should be enough. This is not a painting lesson. It's still a little dirty here, but let's not worry about this now. So, and once we have that, we are basically done with the back plate, with a clean plate. And what we need now is we need to extract this rope here. Yay. So there are several tools that allow you to crop your image. I'm using the crop rectangle fuse, which as far as I know doesn't ship with Fusion8. So I'm gonna put a link into the description and you can download it there. The crop rectangle fuse comes with this rectangle controller here. This one allows you to choose the area that you want to crop. And then all you have to do is just click show crop and you're done. Now, if you don't use the crop rectangle, you would have to use the crop tool. And the crop tool is a bit of a hassle because you can't use a rectangle gizmo or modifier to choose your region. Instead, you have to use those sliders here. And it's really, I don't know what to say. It's just weird.
This is so tiresome.
So what you can do, you could utilize the auto crop. And for the auto crop to work, you need to first define an alpha. Okay, so for example, you could use a Boolean tool and the rectangle. Hook it in the mask slot and hook our background in. And now we adjust our rectangle again. Like this. Okay. Should be actually more precise here because we want to bend it, so it should be centered as much as possible. And now if we choose the Boolean tool and set the operation to clear, we can clear this out and just invert the mask. But now we get one problem here. If we zoom in, you can see that the edges are, for some reason, are not sharp. They're blurred, even though the mask is not soft edged. So I haven't figured out what causes this problem. Now this is not good because if we put this now into the crop, we could choose auto crop and it would crop it down. Okay, this is what we want. But as I said, again, here, the edges, because they were feathered, we get something like this. Okay. Now this is not usable. So what you can do is you can switch back to the cropping and you can do the manual crop thing. Just hit Control for fine adjustments. And now you can readjust this. Now the cool thing about Fusion is that there's so many ways that you can do things, and what I'm showing you now are just a few methods. So it's really up to you to try different ways, and because every method can have a different or a slightly different result. It depends really on what you like the most and what suits your workflow. Okay, that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is we use the same technique and we use the auto crop. And you can see now we get the same problem here. Now what we can do is we can use another Boolean. This time we choose a mask that we derive from our image. And we set the mask channel to red, to blue, because we want to remove the sky, because the sky gives us the best contrast result here. Something like this. Okay, and we hook this into the mask tool of the Boolean. And what happens now is we basically remove all the sky or the bluish colors here. And now if I hook this into the second crop that I've created, you can see that it preserves the crop that we did before with all its dimensions and aspect ratios and all its stuff. Now, I haven't further investigated into this, how stable this is, because if along the way, for example, if you reload this scene or something, and if this would lose the information, then you would basically have to do this again and again. It wouldn't be efficient. So you can do either way. The thing is that here, since we remove the sky here, we won't get the edge problem anymore. But using the crop rectangle is probably the fastest way to do it. Yeah, so after the crop rectangle, we need to get rid of the sky again. And I will just do the same thing I did before with the Boolean and the mask. So I just copy it over. But this time from the crop. And we get basically the same thing. You can see. Okay. So I'm just going to delete this here. And I go with the crop rectangle. And so the next step we do is we create an image plane, because we want to put this onto an image plane and bend it. And I hook this in, and immediately if I view this, you see that this thing is now in our 3D space. And now we need a camera. And what I do now is I simply hook our background image into the camera. And if I view this, you can see that we have it constrained to our camera now. So, and I can also hook this image plane here. The only thing that is a little bit of work is to actually place our image plane onto the right place. Another thing I want to mention, if you have a camera, since this is 2D work we are doing, we don't want some 3D distortion. That's why I usually would say that it's probably better to put this to orthographic, because this will remove any perspective distortion. Okay, and it will just give you this slider here, which allows you to adjust the size of the image. Okay, so to precisely adjust this now, I'm going to create a renderer right away. I hook this in. And I set the renderer to the same image. Okay, it's already set because I set the resolution in the preferences. And now I'm going to merge this on top. And I reduce the blend. And now I want to adjust this. So here the scale is already at the lowest 0.1, but if you type in -1, it will give you, you can go further than -0.1 or 0.01. So now I adjust it to about the size of the original. Oh, by the way, now you can see that we don't see the camera. And we also don't see the moving gizmo. This is because in the 2D view, I turned off controls here, this button. So if I turn it back on and go to the 3D, you can see that we can see the camera and the image plane as well. And we get our controls back. So this tool should be also available here in the 3D view. It doesn't really matter because we don't have a camera movement. We actually just get 2D result. But just for the consistency, you could say, okay, I move this like close to the plane. Okay, until it disappears or something like this. And you see, even though you move this further away from the camera, the scale won't change because this is not perspective. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So I move this a little bit over. And up. Let me get some precise controls here. Something like this. A little bit down. But okay, that looks like the original. So, and now we have to now about this image here that we hooked into the camera, we actually don't need that. I mean, now we could use this to render it out as a single image with the hook, with the rope, but it's probably more efficient to not do so. We can just either unhook it or in the image control, in the camera's image tab, we just disable this here, okay? And then we put the blend back. Actually, this should be in the foreground and this belongs into the background. Oh, actually, we need to go from this paint here. My bad. Now I just do it like this, quick and dirty. Okay, so we have the hook now, the rope, and we have the backplate, and together it looks like this. Okay, now let's come to let's go to the fun part with the bending. So we want to bend this thing. So let's view the image plane, hit fit, and now just append a bender. Okay, so now if we just use the bend and we just bend it, we get something like this. Let's view this here. Okay, so first of all, the angle is wrong. So let's set this to probably 90. And now you can see that this is much better, but the pivot point is wrong. We want to actually bend it from this point on. And to do so, we need to adjust the center. And you can see if I put this all the way to 1, you can now see that we get something like this. And now it starts to get fun. Okay, so now I don't want to animate this by hand. What I can do is I can take the amount here. I can right click and I choose modify with a wave modifier. Now we're getting some worm or snake action going on here. Well, of course, the values are too strong at the moment. So as soon as we add a modifier, you can switch over to the modifier tab up here, and we open this wave modifier drop down. And at the moment it's set to flat, and we want to choose the sine. And in order to see what we're actually doing, we go into the spline view and we select the amount wave. Okay, now you can see, okay, this is very slow here. We just have this little bit of sine thing here, but we want to actually repeat this over and over again. So we can just crank up the repetitions, let's say 10, and we don't want to limit this. Now it's more like saying, come on here. It's more saying like, come on, bring it on, man. But we don't want it. So what we can do is we can play around with the period. For example, set it to 10. So it becomes a little slower. And for the strength, we put this down. And now we play with the offset. We set it to actually minus 0.5. And that is because at the moment, it basically starts from here and goes only into one direction. If you check go back to the tools, you can see the amount it always goes back to 0 and then up, back to 0 and up, back to 0. We want to offset this value. We want to offset it to minus 0.5. And now you can see
it goes to the other direction.
Okay, now that didn't work. It goes actually too far back. Let's reduce the strength. Okay, maybe not 0.5. Maybe it was minus 0.5. Yeah. Nah, maybe a little bit more. And let's put 12 in here. Or 15. Yeah, why not? Okay guys, we have concluded this quickie and now you are ready to go out there and bend the hell out of everything. My name is Vito, I'll see you soon. Until then, enjoy what you're doing.